Okay, I am back. It's been about 4 weeks, I think, since last time I actually recorded something. And that was the 53-man roster predictions, and I think I did pretty well. I don't know the exact numbers or anything like that, but I think I got maybe like 47 or 48 out of the 53, so I'm pretty happy about that. I knew I was going to get most of them. So a lot of stuff has happened since the start of the season to now after week 4. So I just wanted to address the team and give my opinions on certain things, and just go into depth of all that stuff. But first, to start this off, I would like to shout out my good team that I work with, the Bears Brothers. It's a podcast with pretty much, I mean, there's four technical guys on camera, but there's 7 guys in total that are part of the team. And it's an awesome team, and they're all like they're already in their 20s or even past that. And Will, the host of the podcast, asked me, being 16, to be their moderator, and ever since January I've been their moderator, and it's been awesome. I love working with them. I'm really grateful that they allowed me to be on the team, and that's why I put my heart out to them. I've only missed a few podcasts here and there, and I do the best I can for them, because I'm trying to show them that I am grateful for being on the team, and I thank them for that. So I encourage you to go give them a listen, and a place you can find them is at Twitter. Their Twitter handle is The Bears Bros. Just type that in and you'll find them. And on YouTube right here on this platform, just type in the Bears Brothers, and they should be probably the first thing you come across. So subscribe to their YouTube channel, follow their Twitter, and just once their podcast goes live, go onto YouTube, and I'll be right there. I'll be the moderator. We could talk in the chat, or and you can also listen to what they have to say. Okay, that's that. So I wanted to give my state of the franchise so far. And I'll start off with the special teams. So when it comes to special teams, our kicker Connor Barth, I mean he's been not so great, to put it yeah, he's been not that great right now, and I don't know if that's going to improve. I don't know if that's going to stay the same way, but obviously I hope that improves. And I mean, I don't think the Bears are in a position to where they should go out and get another kicker, because I don't know if there's a kicker that that is necessarily worthy of bringing on the team. So I'm just hoping that Connor Barth improves from his struggles that throughout weeks 1 and 4. Our punter Pat O'Donnell, we've had for a good amount of years now, and there's no problem with him. I think they call him Mega Punt for a reason, and I like Pat O'Donnell. I think he's doing a pretty good job at the punter position. Shekri Manis, I mean Sherrick is a great, unbelievable special teamer. This guy, yes, he's in the depth chart, under a lot of corners, but this guy puts his heart out. He plays awesome on special teams, and in special teams you can win or lose games, during special teams, and this guy has definitely been a guy that's helping us win these games. You saw in the Pittsburgh game, he recovered that muffed punt, and he also blocked that kick that I forgot the Steelers kicker's name, but he blocked that kick from the hip of him, and then sadly Marcus Cooper, that whole crap. But I'm looking at Sherrick here, and I'm saying, wow, Sherrick has done an unbelievable job in special teams. So overall, the Bears special teams, I think there's obviously things we can improve on, because there have been special team mishaps, but there's also been special teams. There's also been great things on special teams. So I think overall it's okay. There's been great moments, but there's also been down moments, and we can improve on that. Now when I talk about both the offense and defense, it gets a little crazy. And there's one name that I want to bring up to this. Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon. We brought in Mike Glennon to be, this game manager quarterback who was conservative and never threw the football away, and can win at some games just by being a game manager. But this guy, just he's a statue. He's a giraffe. He's just awful, and I hate. Glennon outside of football is probably, he looks like he's a good dad, a good husband, a good just guy in general. But if you can't play football, I don't want you starting on this team. And Glennon has just, he has no awareness in the pocket. He has no awareness for outside the pocket, down the field. And he just turns the ball over and over and over again. And he can't move. He's not mobile at all. And he just doesn't look like he knows how to play football at all. And that's the problem. When you have a quarterback that's just that bad, your whole team is going to suffer. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have wide receivers he can throw to. But I can go back and show you some of those, some of the like interceptions that he threw, for example, against like Green Bay. And, he has receivers open. And, even for like the first snap that the offense went through to start off that game. I know Glennon was rushed, but he had time before he was rushed, and I think Zach Miller during that whole entire thing was open, and Mike Glennon just he takes too long, and and even when he throws it too, he doesn't put enough mustard on the football. It takes like 5 seconds to reach the receiver. It's ridiculous. So when you have a quarterback that just cannot play football, you will struggle as a whole team, and we can see that around the league when these teams that have awful quarterbacks, they tend to struggle, and it's the exact opposite with teams that have elite quarterbacks. If you look at all these teams with elite quarterbacks, they tend to do better. If you look at the Green Bay Packers, I think their whole team is Aaron Rodgers. You take Aaron Rodgers out of that team, and they're going to struggle like crazy. You take Matt Ryan out of Atlanta. Atlanta is going to struggle if they have a bad quarterback. You take Tom Brady out of New England. If you put in a bad quarterback there, the Patriots are going to struggle. The same thing with the Bears. And I know the Bears don't have that great of team around Mike Glennon as those other elite teams do, but there's still weapons you could throw to, and you can use. And our offensive line is when you talk about the three guys in the middle. And even our tackles, I think Charles Leno Jr. is a pretty decent tackle. And I think Bobby Massey, if he doesn't do poorly, Bobby Massey is a guy that can either do poorly or do decent. But our middle guys are Josh Sidden, Cody Whitehair, Kyle Long. They're all great. Our offensive line can give any quarterback that's back there time to throw the football, or they can play good in run defense. And so there's no crushing about, maybe he just doesn't get enough time or anything like that, because he has the protection he needs. And he also has the running backs he can use. Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, they're all monsters. And our tight ends too. Our tight ends are no joke. We got Zach Miller, Deion Sims, freaking Adam Shaheen now that he caught a touchdown against Pittsburgh. They're all building, and we got good tight ends, we got good running backs, we got a good offensive line. The only thing that's maybe in question is wide receiver. And even with those guys, they might not be the best group in the whole entire league, but during a lot of snaps and during a lot of Glennon's picks too, as I've seen, there's been wide receivers that are open that he could have thrown to, but he just doesn't have that awareness around the field to actually throw to the wide receivers. So that's on top of those wide receivers not being the greatest. There's also Mike Glennon there. There's a blame to why these wide receivers are not having a lot of production. So that's that. And when it comes to the defense, I love our defense. I think our front seven is still great. And I think, and we've been stopping the run. That's one thing. We've been stopping the run, and that's without our main man tackling machine in the middle in Jarrell Freeman. And then also Nick Kwiatkowski, his backup is out. So we got Christian Jones going in there, our third string middle linebacker, and I still think he's been doing a decent job. So that just shows you, how good this front seven can be. when it has players that go down. And our secondary, I think that they have been, they're definitely better than last year. I think Marcus Cooper, even though he had that whole entire thing with Pittsburgh, he's a good corner. He's proven himself, at least to me, that he deserves a spot on this team. Kyle Fuller, I think, has been doing pretty decent against the wide receivers that he's been going up against, which are top of the line wide receivers. And Bryce Callahan, I think, has been doing fine in the nickel. And in our safeties too, I love Eddie Jackson. I think he might turn into something really special out in that safety position. And even though Quentin Demps went down, who was the leader back in that secondary, I still think that Adrian Amos, when he came up to play for Quentin Demps against the Packers, I think he did a fine job. I mean, and I kind of expected out of Adrian. He may not be a ball hawk like we want him to be, but he can play man coverage, and I think, and he could tackle too. That's one thing. He's a good tackling safety. So he might not intercept footballs, but he can still cover receivers, and he can still tackle receivers if need be. And Eddie Jackson's the other guy where I think Eddie Jackson's been doing pretty well in tackling players, and I think that he still has to improve more, but I think he could be a ball hawk back there. So overall, this defense, I think, is in my opinion, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a top 10 defense. I've always thought that. Even going into the season, the problem with some people might say, well, this defense is giving up too much points. Like the Packers scored 35 points against us. Well, you can't blame that all on the defense. You have to blame that. I put the blame on a lot of that on Mike Glennon, because if Mike Glennon didn't throw all those picks and then turn over the football the 4 times he did, this defense probably would have given up only like 14, 21 points. And that's to a Packers offense that's very explosive. And you can look back too against all the other explosive offenses we faced, and for the most part, this defense has been doing pretty well against them. The thing that is kind of shaking them up a little bit though is the fact that when you have a quarterback in an offense that can't get going, and they always go 3 and out. Or the quarterback throws a pick or turns the ball over, and your defense has after they just got the offense off the field, they had to go back in the field. It's gonna start weighing them down. And I don't care how good your defense is. That's just a fact. They're all human. If their defense just stays on the field all the time, they're gonna get fatigued and they're gonna start to wear down a little bit. But if you have an offense that can move down the field and can keep the defense on the bench rested, then your defense can then come back out and do well. And so that's the whole reason why, maybe, the defense has been, at least in some people's eyes, been struggling, even though I don't think it has. And I can even pull up the stats right here and look. Aaron Rodgers, 18 for 26, 179 yards, and 4 TDs. Yeah, those 4 TDs are bad. But another thing you can look at is 179 yards. The defense only allowed Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, to throw for 179 yards. I mean, a lot of that is just Mike Glennon turning over the football in a bad position for the defense. And then once you do that for Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers is given good field position, there's a good chance that he's gonna capitalize against that. And that's what he did. So I don't really blame a lot of this game on the defense. I blame almost all of it on Mike Glennon and his play. Aaron Jones, 13 carries, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. I know he's the backup running back, but I don't care what running back you're going up against. If you allow less than like 50 yards for a running back, then you're doing your job. You're stopping the run. And I know you got a TD there, but a lot of that too is just the field position. You gotta look. It's not like Aaron Jones, their running back, scored a 20-yard touchdown. He scored a 1-yard touchdown. And I know Grant, he still scored a touchdown, but you got to look at what I said before. Defense is gas because they always, they keep staying on the field. They got to get off the field. And a big reason of that is, like I brought up, Mike Glennon. He turns over the football. Defense has to go back out there. And, at the beginning of this game, defense doing a great job. They're stopping the Packers. And then, once they stop them, our offense gets back to football. Mike Glennon turns it over. Our defense, are still kind of fatigued, so they go out there, and guess what? Now you're going to start giving up, these yards to the Packers because the defense is still recovering after the previous drive they were just on because Mike Glennon turned over the football. So yeah, I think some of the scores you could blame on the defense, but I think overall, if you take into consideration that Mike Glennon was just awful, and you're going up against the Packers offense, I think that the defense did relatively good. And this is where I can bring in Mitch Trubisky. If John Fox doesn't have Mitch Trubisky starting in Week 5, I'm going to be very angry because Mike Glennon has been garbage, and he's been so garbage to the point to where I might not. I don't even want to see him in a Bears uniform. That bad. And I think that after seeing what Mitch Trubisky can do in the preseason, his intangibles as a quarterback, the way he goes at learning, this offense, I think absolutely he should start in Week 5. And maybe, and all rookie quarterbacks may not be 100% ready, but there's no necessarily good situation we could put into a rookie quarterback for him to start. All rookie quarterbacks are going to have jitters, but having him out there and playing, he's eventually going to get past those jitters, and then he's going to start rolling and getting it going. Because unlike Mike Glennon, Mitch Trubisky is just very accurate. Even when he does, he runs the bootlegs, he's just very accurate. He, he's mobile he can get out of the pocket and actually move around. Unlike Mike Glennon, I mean, when your defense knows that this quarterback can't move, what they're going to do is they're just going to blitz the pocket. But if you have a quarterback that can actually move outside the pocket, what the defense has to do is they have to tell their ends just to shed to the outside because they don't know if the quarterback, if they see that the pressure's coming, is going to stay inside the pocket or move outside the pocket. And even when Mitch Trubisky's on the run, Trubisky still throws the football really well when he's on the run. He can, he performs the bootlegs, at least from what I saw, really well. And, this guy looks like he is an NFL quarterback, or he has a good potential to be a really good quarterback, unlike Mike Glennon. And I mean, this guy has the potential to open up the entire offense, make this offense more versatile. Because with Mike Glennon, the defense already knows, all right, this guy is not good. This guy, is going to play scared. That's what the coaching staff are going to do. They're playing scared with Mike Glennon. And they're only going to rely pretty much on the running game. So what are the defenses going to do? They're going to play the run, almost all the snaps. What they're going to do is they're going to line up the box. They're going to put all their guys in the box almost every play. And most of the time, your running back, whoever's out there, if he has a full box right there, and they know that you're going to run the football, he's going to struggle. And that's what, for the most part, has been happening. But if you have a guy like Mitch Trubisky who can open up this offense and actually throw to receivers and can move outside the pocket, then his defense has to back up a little bit. They can't just keep playing the run because now they know that this guy can sling it and he can throw the wide receivers and he can throw the tight ends and he can actually complete receptions to these receivers. So then they're going to start backing up against away from the box, and so that that just opens up your entire offense because then you can play both the run, which is your strength, and if they line up the box, then you can just do some bootlegs or some regular shotgun throws with Mitch Trubisky and be successful at that because Mitch Trubisky is very accurate and he can make things happen, unlike Mike Glennon. So that was a lot, but that's just how I see it, and that's why I think Mitch Trubisky is the guy you have to go with. I just think that overall, Mitch Trubisky is just better almost in every aspect, maybe in every aspect than Mike Glennon. I mean, it's crazy. Jay Cutler has a lot more talent than Mike Glennon. Jay Cutler may not have been a great leader, and he may have thrown interceptions and all that stuff. But at least Jay Cutler had talent. At least Jay Cutler can sling the football and you can put the mustard on the football. But Mike Glennon can't even do that. And that's my issue with Mike Glennon. And that's why I think Mitch Trubisky, from what I saw in the preseason, he has to start because he's looked amazing in the preseason. And I think that Ryan Pace knows what he's doing. I trust Ryan Pace, and I know that he selected Mitch Trubisky for a reason because he saw the potential that this guy has. So I think once Trubisky starts for the Bears, you're going to see a whole change. This offense opens up. They can play both the pass and the run now. So you keep your defense on the bench resting, so that once they have to go back in, then your defense is all fired up. They're juiced up. They're not breathing heavily, so they're able to stop these offenses. So then now our offense is able to come back out and then do what it has to do again, and then the whole process just repeats and repeats. So. And plus, having Trubisky there, I think sparks a light in this team, and I think this team is going to be playing better just overall with a guy like Mitch Trubisky out there. They'll be playing better overall with a guy like Mitch Trubisky out there, because the quarterback position is the most important position in football. So when you have an elite quarterback, and I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky is elite, but in my opinion, he has the potential to be elite. So when you have a guy like that. When you have a good quarterback, he can help your team in tremendous ways. And I already think that Trubisky has guys around him, and he has a good defense. So once he starts rolling, and once he starts actually doing well, and which I believe he can, this team has really, really high potential. And that's what I was really looking at, is the potential of this team. And I knew that, I didn't really know what this team could do. But I knew the potential of this team because I know the personnel that are on this team. And, I really hope that Trubisky, proves me right in what I'm saying with him. Because if he does, then this team, at least in my opinion, this team is looking really, really well. And, this team has a good core already. And if you put Mitch Trubisky out there and he does well, like I think he will, then this offense has a good core. And then overall, this whole team has a good core around it. So then going forward, you already know what core you have, and you know what you have to build off of with that core. So all I'm saying is once you put Trubisky in there, this team is going to look really interesting. And I'm really excited about that. And I hope to God that we are done with the Mike Glennon era, and I hope that we move forward with the Trubisky era, because this season could still be salvaged. I know we're 1-3, but there's still 12 games to be played. And 1-3 teams can move to, they can have good records in the end, as long as things move in the right way for them, and I believe that's a really good possibility. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.